Coming up on this week's show, Alex finds out how music can stimulate the brain and boost our focus. We take a look at a self-driving boat, but would you put your trust in one? And in our games review, we're saving the galaxy with this team of intergalactic superheroes. Welcome to Swipe. Now, first this week, it can be hard to keep up with all the tech and gadgets claiming to reduce stress and boost our productivity. But what if the answer lies in centuries-old classical music? Well, that's what researchers inspired by Albert Einstein claim, and Alex has been to meet them to find out more.
Okay, so if you're like me, you probably spend most of your day with a device or another plastered to your hand, and whether it's updates, push notifications, tweets, messages, or even perhaps the old-fashioned phone call, there's always something to distract us. So the temptation is, of course, to plug in and try and drown it all out. But what if the music we're listening to is having the opposite effect? Composers and neuroscientists in the States think they can prove just that. Their solution? A new genre of music. It's a hybrid of Baroque string quartets and contemporary electro trance. But what exactly is wrong with listening to your favourite songs to get motivated?
If you listen to music you like while you're trying to work, it's actually going to distract you. Because music you like is designed to engage you. So if you think about anything you like, say it could be Snoop Dogg, the Beatles, doesn't matter. If you listen to that music, it's going to be actually going straight in your ears, straight into your area of your brain, which is called the limbic system, where you feel the emotions. And those feelings and those wanting to sing along with it is actually going to distract you. It's actually going to divide your attention.
Will and John both have a background in composing chart hits. What they've created here is effectively the opposite.
Now, you might not have heard that when the whole track was going down, so it's something kind of blended together in just the right way. But what you're getting is a certain pulse at a certain tempo. Then when you break it down into hertz, or how many beats per second are happening, you have a theta state from 8 hertz to 14 hertz. And we know this from 5 years of research.
Yeah. So these this is a very specific speed. And what that is doing is that is additionally helping your brain get into a flow state when you're working.
The music mustn't grab or thrill you, that's distracting. But it also can't bore you, that could put you to sleep. Will's team claim their tracks strike the balance you need to stay zeroed in on the task. Their inspiration came from none other than Einstein himself, who famously called his violin Lena his brainstorming device, and chalked up much of his success to listening to Bach.
And we're going to start by getting these electrodes a little bit more live with a little bit of water.
So with all that in mind, I couldn't resist giving it a go. John's hooking me up to a device which uses electrodes to measure activity in my brain. My challenge? To write a short article. For the first draft, I'm allowed to use my own playlist. For the second, I'm trying some of Will's new music. Now, this is far from a perfect test, but still, the results are interesting.
We can see here, just like Einstein, what we know about Einstein is he was both very creative and very analytical. And he was able to combine these skills in a way that was unusual at the time, and still, I think, is very unusual. Here, just when it switches to the focus at will genius music, we have the synchronous activity. The left and right are going up and down together.
So obviously this is a snapshot, isn't it? How accurate is this kind of information, and what's the next step in terms of really locking this down as a scientific discovery?
What we know from these 1,800 people is that they perform better at these tasks when they listen to this kind of music, and that's great. What we'd like to know is what's going on in the brain. So you're right, this is exactly a snapshot. If we were going to do this scientifically moving forward, right, we would need to make sure we have lots of controls. So someone sitting in a room just writing in silence, someone sitting in a room and writing with different types of music, perhaps not just a 6-minute experiment with one person.
So you mentioned Einstein there, and obviously how Einstein's brain worked.
Right.
You see any similarities?
Well, you both have brains.
Good, that's good start.
That's
okay.
Good. Yours is alive. And,
okay.
There's certainly when you were primed, just like Einstein would prime himself with his violin playing to get into a flow state, when you were primed to get into a flow state, your brain absolutely came together.
You're very kind, Julia, but I think we'll probably have to leave the comparison there.
Most likely.
Now, before we take a look at a self-driving boat, here's a roundup of this week's tech news. Facebook boss Mark Zuckerberg says the social network needs to improve the way it responds to violent videos after a man posted footage showing him committing a murder. Speaking at the F8 Developers Conference in California, he vowed Facebook will do more to prevent tragedies like it from happening. A new robot which can make the micro-scale movements needed for delicate surgery could soon carry out a cataract operation. The Axis system, developed by Cambridge consultants, is designed to operate on the eye with greater accuracy than a human.
This is Rodrigo operating the controls. These are three-dimensional joysticks that the motion of these joysticks are mapped to the motion of the instruments on the inside of the eye.
And an asteroid up to a mile wide has passed by Earth, giving stargazers a rare treat. Known as JO25, it was the largest to come so close to our planet in the last 13 years, passing within 1.1 million miles, a close pass in cosmic terms. Now, autonomous vehicles are voyaging into new territories. In Amsterdam, it's hoped self-driving boats could be taking to the water this year with the aim of transporting goods and people around the city. But here in the UK, one company has been testing its own, and we went to see it for ourselves. This self-driving vessel is called the Seaworker 5. Developed by ASV Global, it's completed over 1,000 days of unmanned operations and successfully navigated the seas around the Isle of Wight without assistance.
This is one of ASV Global's Seaworker 5 vessels. So it's just over 5 metres long. It's designed and built here in Porchester, and it's an aluminium vessel and it has a diesel engine underneath my feet, at the back here. But it's most importantly, it's an autonomous vessel, so it's able to remotely navigate itself and conduct tasks for organisations such as oil and gas companies, Royal Navy and others. The core technology involved here is really all about software. So we've been developing a control system for about 10 years and that uses a whole range of different sensors to have awareness of what's around the vehicle, so it can then plot a safe path, navigate and complete its mission. We'll typically use infrared cameras so we can see at night. We'll also have daylight cameras such as these here, looking forward, aft and to the sides so we can see during the day. And then it's not actually fitted right at the moment, but normally we'll have a radar system as well. So if the conditions are poor, if it's foggy, we're still aware of what things are around us.
And what is this currently being used for?
This particular vessel, the Seaworker 5, is primarily used in hydrographic survey work, so building maps of the seabed. So it has a sonar system fitted to the bottom of the vessel, and it will run up and down lines, almost like mowing the lawn, and that will produce a map of the seabed. But it's also been used for quite a few other applications. Recently we were up in Scotland with the Royal Navy on an exercise called Unmanned Warrior, and in that task we were tracking underwater vehicles with some acoustic technology.
From the ocean to outer space, here's Lucy with our games review.
Outlast 2 is the sequel to the horror game Outlast, and it's very, very unusual for a horror game in that you can't actually fight back. So you play as an investigative journalist, and you and your wife are investigating the murder of a pregnant woman, and your investigation takes you to a sort of secluded village where all the inhabitants think that the end of the world is nigh. And as you're a journalist, you can't fight back, but the tools in your arsenal are a camera. So like in the first game, you have this camcorder, and it has night detection, audio detection, so you can anticipate when there are going to be enemies coming and you can hide. Outlast 2 is a really cool concept for a game, and it's coming out this week. Full Throttle Remastered is a kind of shiny, spick and span version of the game Full Throttle from 1995, which is made by LucasArts. You play as Ben, the leader of a biker gang who's wrongly framed for murder, and it's you trying to clear your name throughout the game, and it's full of this, you know, the classic LucasArts Double Fine humour. And in this brand new version, there are things like new graphics, better sound, better controls, because the game has dated quite a lot, so they've updated it for modern audiences. The only thing I'd say about this game is that it's pretty short, but if you kind of want that nostalgia trip, then definitely pick it up. Telltale's Guardians of the Galaxy game is coming out just before the next movie, so you have time to catch up. So you mostly play as Star-Lord, and you have to go around talking to people, making a lot of decisions, choice and consequence, very like dialogue focused, but that means you can kind of craft and weave your own story. And the choices mostly come in your intergroup politics, so you can be talking to Gamora or Drac or Groot or Rocket Raccoon and sort of not make alliances, but sometimes they'll ask for things and you can deny them, or you can just choose to side with another member of your group. So it's a way to really get to know these characters, and that's coming out. It's a 5-part episodic series, and the first episode's out this week.
That's it for this week. You can watch any of our episodes on YouTube, on demand and mobile. And if you follow us on Twitter at Sky News Swipe, you can see what we get up to throughout the week. See you again next time.